Want to make sure you are heard.
That's correct.
No.
We are a go.
There we go. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Redevelopment Commission meeting for April 1st. If we could all rise for our Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Commissioner Perry. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the sunshine you brought to us, although the cold can leave at any time. We appreciate all that you do for us and forgive us of our sins and help us to make the right decisions in all of our efforts that we put into this commission. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the proposal for 500% increase in pay for all commission members.
So moved.
April Fools, my attempt at good humor here. So the real next agenda item is the approval of minutes. Do we have any changes or motions for approval or denial?
I'll make a motion that the minutes for March 4th, 2021 be approved as presented to the commission.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Financial report. Chelsea.
Actually, the copy, that is not that. The copy is in the docket, which is in front of Commissioner Perry. I'm happy to answer any questions because, especially with how early since it's the first of the month, that means there's even less invoices than normal. And we'll discuss a little bit about the annual report, which will be a little bit of greater detail. So happy to answer any questions that you may have, but it's pretty straightforward what came from the clerk treasurer's office.
Any questions for Chelsea over the financial report? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, old business, Mooresville Business Center update. Merriman and Bethel.
You will notice that we still do not have an invoice from Kreider & Kreider. They are still working with Banning on the final punch list items and getting the final numbers back. I expect that in May, although with how slow it's been, I won't be completely shocked if we don't get it before our next meeting. Obviously, we'll want to close it out, so we definitely want the work done. If they don't want to be paid immediately, I guess it is what it is. So I know there's been some emails back and forth with the project manager and the Banning engineers. So they are working on it, and I think that with this warm weather, we'll see some of those things start to come to fruition, assuming we get the warm weather. I did appreciate that prayer, by the way. The Shell building, I spoke, I can't even do it. I got a funny text this morning. It says, Shell building looks great, the paint looks great, the glass, it really looks awesome. And I said, well, I haven't been down there. I thought, wow. April Fools. Nope, we still haven't painted. The glass isn't up yet, so people do have a sense of humor, though. So I talked to Chris King earlier. We need, again, some consecutive warm days. We need it to dry out. It's still pretty wet around there for painting. They have been on site doing a few things on the roof. They're prepping for the glass to come in. They do expect that to be to take place in April. So we are getting there. I know it's been a long process, but we are getting there. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Just a backstory of that. She sent me that and went as far as I drove down there. And I sent her a picture saying, I hope this isn't a joke. It clearly was. So that little humor goes a long way. Nice pack.
We have had some additional conversations with the consultant representing NICEPAC and have a call scheduled in the coming week to really lay out plans for moving forward. So we expect to get some more direction as far as timelines go. We've had some pretty consistent conversations between Adam, myself, and their consultant on that we will be closing on bonds the same time as we'll be closing on the property, so that'll be simultaneous. So we have done everything short of laying out exactly what it is that we need from them, which we've explicitly said multiple times. But we will continue to have those conversations. Commissioner Stanley will be joining us for the meeting, as well as Town Council President Worthen will be at Zoom. So, and just this, because of the last year being as weird as it has been, there weren't very many of those while this commission has been in place. But previously, under the previous commission, there were several of these calls. So there's no red flags for me. I don't have any concerns. This is just part of the process. And hopefully we get some more information on a timeline.
Perfect. Any questions so far? Any questions from the audience? Moving on, refund update.
Do the bond resolution first. So, resolution 2021-2 is here for you tonight. You all should have copies. So this lays out, right now the commission has a couple of pledges of TIF that are outstanding. One is the 2010 sewer bonds of the town. The Shell building that we did a couple of years ago, and then the 2014 redevelopment district bonds. This resolution here is to refund the 2014 bonds. As we've discussed the last couple of meetings, this is a straight financing. There is no new money projects. It is just issuing new bonds to pay off the old, just sort of like refinancing your mortgage. You get a new one and you pay off the old one for a debt service savings. Authorizes, town council president, clerk treasurer to, because the bonds will be issued in the name of the town on behalf of the commission, to enter into the appropriate escrow agreements and everything needed to complete the financing. And I'm happy to answer any questions about it, and also our Baker Tilly, our municipal advisors here to answer any financial components, but I can also answer any of the legal questions that you have.
Any questions for Adam or the financial advisors? Seeing and hearing none, I will entertain a motion to accept resolution 2021-2.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution number 2021-2 the way it's presented this evening.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, selection of the underwriters.
So if you remember at the last meeting, we had made a motion and approved, allowed Baker Tilly to request RFPs for proposals to serve as a placement agent or an underwriter on these bonds, and Baker Tilly's received those responses. and I will invite Jason up to go over those receipts.
Thank you, Evan. I submitted two different pieces of information for you. A one-page kind of summary and then only an 8-page packet. I thought I was going to go over the one-page summary first. As Adam said, the commission directed us to send out requests for proposals for firms to serve as an underwriter or a placement agent. And they would take these bonds and try to go out and market these and then get the best interest rate possible on those bonds. And we sent it out to a number of firms. I think we sent out to 5. And we got 5 different responses. So here's a summary of those responses. The first 3 of the underwriters or banks submitted placement options, where you just go out and find a bank that's willing to take on all the bonds. And then 4 of them submitted open market. So this is where they go out and kind of have, we've done like competitive bids where you can kind of go out to insurance agents and might have multiple buyers. And the interest rates that I showed you last month and the interest rate that you got from a potential underwriter at that time was based upon the open market rate. And you can see there, I'll kind of start there first. Mesereau, Stifel, Piper, Fifth Third, they all provided open market rates. You can see the true interest cost that ranges anywhere from 3% to 3.82%. We have the bond size, the total interest cost, and you can see the savings there. You can see for Mesereau, it's $25,000 of annual savings, and then there you start seeing negative savings. You can see the total net present value, Mesereau $17,900, the negative $447,000, negative $625,000, and then negative $740,000. So you're saying, wait a minute, here last month you were showing us positive savings. Why would we do this? Well, a lot has happened from the market standpoint just in the last 4 weeks. Since January, rates have gone up almost a whole percentage point. Just in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's gone up about 40 or 50 basis points. I still think we would show savings, but when I went out to the underwriters on the open market, they're going to have these bonds rated. And right now, your bonds are rated A-, which is a strong credit. But your bonds are pure TIF. And I can tell you, right now, and the COVID, pure TIF bonds are taking a beating. They're looking for any kind of risk to show that, hey, there's, if anything could go wrong, there's a good chance it will go wrong, and we're going to downgrade you. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing for pure TIF bonds, where prior credit had A- ratings are now getting graded at BBB+. So when we sent this out to the underwriters, I wanted to be conservative because I thought if we can get an underwriter to give us a good rate at BBB+, then they're going to give us a good rating at A-. So I told them, all the underwriters, assume it's a BBB+ and give us what you have. And then we'll go to the market if it's something the Redevelopment Commission wants to do. We'll look at getting it rated and see if we can get that A- rating. Because again, I thought if an underwriter can give us a good rate at BBB+, then they can give us a better than A- and kind of be competitive that way. So again, these are assuming a BBB+. Probably worst case scenario, I couldn't guarantee if we got these rated we would get an A-, what you have now. You could get downgraded, but you have good statistics that I think that you could keep that A-, but again, we just wouldn't know until we went through that process. But the banks also or 3 of the underwriters also looked at private placements. They said, okay, what if we don't go the open market? We don't take the risk of getting the bonds rated, and we just go with the bank. The first one, Piper Sandler, they gave us a private placement, and it's called a Cinderella bond. Because your bonds right now, they're not callable till January 2023. So we really can't refinance them or pay them off until 2023. So what we would do is refinance these, put the money into an account, the new money, and it sits there into an escrow until 2023. Under the current law, we can do that, but if we do it, it's called an advance refunding. The new money has to be taxable because we're advance refunding the tax-exempt bonds. Well, with Cinderella, what they're saying is we can do that, have the first couple years while it's an advance refunding, have it be taxable rates, but we already negotiate with the bank what that tax-exempt rate will be in 2023. So that's what they've assumed here. They're called Cinderella bonds. As Adam, he did a good job of explaining it, that it's kind of like everything has to just happen just right. It's kind of Cinderella. Everything happens right at midnight. If everything goes right and it works out. And that's why you're seeing a total interest rate of 2.74%. This is an estimate. This is based upon, at that time, 2 or 3 weeks ago, which I can tell you the market's moved higher in the last 2 or 3 weeks. This is what they thought they could get you 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the rate they thought they could give you is 2.74%. You can see $50,000 of savings, total present value of $377,000, net present value then of 3.5%, which anything over 3, we've recommended that's really worth doing. The second one there is Robert Baird. They have a true interest cost of 2.89%. And that 2.89 is really an interest rate of 2.85% fixed for the life of the bonds. The reason you see it's 2.89 because that's including their fee up front. But their fee, they have a bank that's lined up already that said they will do this. And as long as we can close by May 6th, they'll honor that rate. So bond issue about 10.8 million, total interest of 3.4. Your annual savings is about 74,000 a year. Net present benefit of 212,000. We're showing 1.98%. It's going to be real over 2%. But you see the far right, you might ask yourself, well, why if the rate's higher than the first option, 2.89 versus 2.74, why is our annual savings more? 74,000 versus 50,000. And the reason why, if you look at the far right, that bank says instead of having a full debt service reserve, we're only going to require you to have a half year reserve, 6 months. So you can take that extra $500,000 that you have right now and apply it towards the bonds and borrow less. So that's kind of really where a lot of your savings is coming from. It's not so much lower interest rate, but borrowing less. And then Stiefel was the next one that provided a private placement. But there again, their rate, it was an estimate. It wasn't fixed. So Baird is the only underwriter that came with a bank in place with a rate that's good today. It'll be good till May 6th if you decide to go forward. And again, the 2%, again, 3% is the threshold where we say anything over 3% is definitely worth doing. 2%, it's kind of marginal, but if you think rates aren't going to go any lower than they are now, we really wouldn't. I mean, the closer we get to January 2023, the better off we are, but it's hard telling what rates are going to be between now and 2023. If I was going to tell you rates are the same now that they will be in 2023, I'd say wait. If rates are going to be higher, then it might be a push or it's going to be worse. So the question is, do you want to take your $70,000 savings for sure and go forward? We could still go through the process, approve what you've done, pick an underwriter and kind of wait and see what the market does between now and, kind of time the market. We could go through the rating process and see if we can get that A- and go to the market. But I can tell you, like I said, the rate's gone, the market's gone up, 100 basis points since January, 40 to 50 basis points in the last 5 to 6 months. We're hoping it's going to rebound and come down, but we really won't know. So it's not guaranteed that if we even got the A-, if the rates keep increasing like they have been, it's going to eat all of our savings. And these savings here that I'm showing here, I guess really if you turn this back page, or the packet, if you turn to page 4, I went ahead and ran numbers assuming that if you would go with Baird, the known rate, that shows your existing debt service is about $360,000 a year, gradually increases to $500,000 compared to what the new debt service. It shows you about saving, $70,000 to $80,000 a year, a year. And again, part of that is cash on hand and the reduction in the reserve. So your net present value is only $226,000 at the very bottom there, just a little over 2%. But that's still $80,000 a year you're saving. You're not paying, and that frees up TIF for other projects that you want to have. It's kind of think if you want to take a sure thing, or do we want to wait and hope that the market rebounds or gets better as we get closer to that call date.
It sounds like, as our advisor, or you're indicating this Robert Baird would be to our best benefit. Is that what I'm?
I think probably either way. I mean, right now that 2.85%. If we were to go to that same bank right now and ask for a rate, we could not get that 2.85%. I know that for a fact, just because the market's changed just in the last 2 weeks. So if you want something for sure, I'd probably go with them. And even if we wanted to try and looking at going to open market and going to Standard & Poor's, looking at rating, I think if you went with Stifel or Piper, they're comparable. I mean, Stifel has the best open market rate. But again, by the time we go through that process, you can't guarantee. And even if we got an A-, I can't guarantee there'd be savings there. We could still pick one and then hope the market rebounds, and then everything will be approved and we'll be ready to go once the market rebounds. Or just go with what you
I never
have.
want to use the word hope with taxpayer dollars,
Right.
ever.
I'm, not to jump in, I'm with Commissioner Perry. It is of my opinion that we take a sure bet
Bird in
because,
the hand's worth two in the bush, right?
correct.
I mean, what's the rest of the commission think?
Do the sure thing.
This gentleman has a comment?
Yes, I'm with Piper, and Jason was just talking about our bid. We are doing a TIF financing next Tuesday for A-, similar to this. So I'm pretty confident that we can do better than a triple B. We rank #1 in placements in the country, and the Cinderella issue was based on where rates were for the RFP. We just did a placement last week for $65 million for the little hospital in Jasper, Indiana. So, pretty confident we can get the rates we were talking about. We were not asked to provide an actual bid for the RFP. Food for thought.
Thank you.
Any questions for Baker Tilly?
I actually do have one, Jason. So, Commissioners, just so you're aware, account 410 is our TIF debt service reserve fund currently. So that is for the last year's payment of our existing TIF bond, which is $1,026,400. The Robert Baird is $475,000, which is where you're saying part of that savings would come from. Would we take that balance of debt service and pay that down, or would we have that to use moving forward? I'm assuming we would take that to pay down.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be taking that plus the amount in your construction fund.
Right.
You said you didn't need any more. You'd be taking that and applying it towards the refunding and then having a new reserve equal to what's on the right side.
Okay.
So it'd be the 475, or with Piper, they were suggesting having the full year reserve, so you have a 900,000, which would then be again used to make that last payment.
Last payment, yep.
If it's not used before then. Yeah. So you're kind of replacing one reserve with another one.
Another.
With the second and third scenario, they're saying that you don't need a full reserve. You're
Right.
needing a 6-month reserve.
Okay.
So you'd be making that, hopefully, if you don't ever have to use it, which we don't intend to, then you'll make the last payment instead of the last two.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion for approval or any kind of other motion such as table or anything like that? Once? I can't do it.
I know you can't. I'll make a motion that we go with, based on what our advisors have said to us, and I'm not taking anything away from
That's
what
fine.
you said at all,
That's fine.
at all. But I'll make a motion that we go with what our advisors believe is in our best interest, and that's the Robert Baird Company private placement.
I would say we could take, there's a risk for looking for any, going with something that's not for sure, which we're not going to know until we price it, and whether it's Piper or Steeple or whoever, or even on the open market.
Right.
We just won't know until we go through that process and have the sale.
I have a motion for approval for Robert W. Baird and Company, Inc. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
How did you get that agreement?
I don't have,
Okay.
but we can, our resolution authorizes the president and the
Okay.
town council to enter into all these agreements, so.
Okay. Thank you. Well, with that, I'll let them know. I'll let the rest of the proposals know as well, and we'll work with Adam and get moving on that and look for a closing on May 6th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Or soon after that. I know one of the things that we'll also have to do is, as Adam said, part of the TIF is pledged to the sewer bonds, the state revolving fund, so we have to do some additional due diligence with them and get their permission. So we'll work with Adam on that.
Perfect.
And do we, so I see placement agent fee of 40,000. That's what Bears has in their RFP. Could we get that specifically approved, and then that's the only thing that's
You want
the dollar amount?
the $40,000
Yes,
for
for their fee for serving as placement agent.
Has there been a check, because I brought with me what we were given February the 25th, and I hate to say this, but it shows a fixed fee of 45. Am I wrong? Do you want to see that?
That's my fee.
That's your fee?
Placement agent, that what,
we won't worry
Jason
about that.
provided.
Let me get back here.
Do you have this page here? Where he has the summary of everything?
Okay.
Behind that, on the estimated sources and uses, there's the 40,000. That's where it's coming from.
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we approve the 40,000 and for Baker Tilly for their,
Well, that's actually for Baird,
for Baird.
for the
their services.
placement agent. That's their fee to place the bonds.
I have a motion for, to accept the $40,000 for their placement agent fee. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That was sort of inherent in the approval of Baird. I just wanted to make the dollar amount specific, so I appreciate that.
All righty. Next agenda item is new business, April 1st, report of treasurer.
So you received, I believe, bright and early Monday morning, the April 1st report of the clerk treasurer's office. So annually, there are several reports the Redevelopment Commission has to do, the first of which is the April 1st report of the treasurer. It is really a fiscal report that shows balances, expenditures from the previous year. That is to be provided to each of you, which you have since received. I use then those numbers and I also asked for even a further breakdown. Have a big old Excel spreadsheet that I end up using to do the April 15th report. Do they actually have to approve the April 1st report? Do you want that approved or accepted?
I mean, it's a report that is provided to you. There's nothing to approve.
Or acknowledge receipt?
You
I
can
didn't
just
know if we did
acknowledge, I
anything.
mean, you've acknowledged that we've received it and can put it in the minutes that we've, received the April 1st report, but it is the clerk treasurer's report to us, so there's nothing, I guess, to approve.
Okay. And then I use, again, those numbers to go into the April 15th report, which is more detailed. It is also, after it's presented to you, it's presented to the town council, and it will be uploaded to Gateway. And candidly, this is a format that Adam and Barnes and Thornburg have provided, which I have been thanked numerous times, and I've said it had nothing to do with me, by the clerk treasurer's office, because when they upload it in Gateway, it's exactly the format that Gateway has, and it makes it much easier for them. So I am happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. I'm also happy to go through section by section, and we'll defer to you on how you would like for me to do that. Do you want me to just answer questions or go through by section?
Commission members, do we have any questions for Chelsea?
I feel like I'm not trying, it's kind of hard, I know. I mean, it lists our large expenditures, and I try to group those by subject matters such as the road construction project, our SRF and gateway bonds, our engineering, legal services, grants, managerial services, financial services. It's balances of accounts that we have, summary of activities. It's pretty straightforward. It lists our outstanding debt, maturity dates, annual payments. Again, happy to answer any questions. Also don't want to bore you to death, so.
This will be all on Gateway if anybody really wants to
Yes, it will.
spend a
Absolutely.
Saturday night and
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and the following week going through it.
And this is an historical account of 2020. So it's not, doesn't include anything from 2021 or anything time before, but it is basically just a historical account of last calendar year.
In the email I provided you, I also provided, there will be an Excel sheet of the parcels. I didn't print those, but it includes all the parcel lists of the TIF. So that will also be included in the Gateway upload.
Wow, really? Almost 800 parcels.
300?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, but
Wow.
the Excel sheet is uploaded as well.
So if anybody wants to spend a week in 800 pages of paper to print it off. Do I have a motion to approve the April 15th report as presented to the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 15th report.
You're awesome. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You're doubly awesome. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Motion passes.
I should have noted, I
No,
apologize for doing this
can't
after
go
the fact.
back.
I know, I'm sorry. I do the report and then I ask the clerk treasurer's office to go through it to confirm all of the numbers. And I know that you received this kind of late and I apologize. I didn't realize the clerk treasurer was on vacation this week. The deputy clerk treasurer was out last week. I got it to them the very end of the week prior to that and everybody's been gone. So they have double checked the numbers as the treasurer and official officer of the Redevelopment Commission as well.
Next agenda item, legal update.
No specific legal update this month.
Managerial update.
A couple things I do want to discuss. The town did get some new recording equipment, so I did come in and have been trained on that. So I think we're up and running and good to go. Obviously, spent quite a bit of time this month on the annual report. The one project that I did want to update you on is I've been working with Mike Dellinger at the EDC on a project that is looking at Lot 15 in Flagstaff. If you take Hansel Circle north, it is essentially where it dead ends. That's lot 15. So there's a project looking at that. And you may be aware that the town recently heard a rezone request from ag to industrial, the property immediately west of that. So I've been working with Mike on that project, and one of the things we've really been talking about is right of way, because the 85 acres that the town just rezoned is up against Bethel Road. So access from that for an industrial use, it's going to be a little bit difficult unless there are some massive upgrades to Bethel Road. So one of the things that we've talked about is if we could do acquire some right of way and do a road that would be essentially from the dead end cul-de-sac that I'm talking about on Hansel Circle. I realize this is hard without a map, but Hansel Circle directly west. It's about 820 feet. And that would essentially open up access to that 85 acres that has just been rezoned industrial. Which I think from an economic development standpoint, if we could show access to 85 acres, not using Bethel, there's a stoplight there, that is a positive thing. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that those are conversations that we are having. I think it would make sense for us to do that in the future, but I'm not asking you to do anything right now. I just want you to know it's something that from an economic development standpoint, Mike and I are working on.
Any questions for Chelsea?
I should also provide one more update. Sorry, I'm all over the place tonight. I spoke with Chet Sworkin today, and he said that he will have the traffic design for Merriman and State Road 67 completed within the next week or two, but then it goes to NDOT for review. So, I don't know when it's going to be complete.
Sorry
But
about
as soon
that.
as I know more, I'll let everyone know. Because I said I'm trying to figure out if we're going to be in a 2021 construction season or not. And based on the lead time for NDOT approval, that'll depend on that. So,
Sorry, did I shake my head out loud?
no, it's all good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alrighty, next agenda item is the review of claims.
I think everybody does have to see these. I'll make a motion that we allow the claims in the amount of $9,110.25.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. We will update that Commissioner Culp when he's not here, we spend a lot less money.
That's right.
Next item, for the good of the order. Dr. Moore?
Unrelated to any topics tonight, but did we hear anything more from State Highway about high streets, trees and shrubs? What's going to happen there?
I've not heard much more on trees and shrubs. I know that the town has quite a bit of information on the website as far as street closures and the phasing goes. So I would direct you to both NDOT and this. I know it's on the town's website at this point.
Mhm.
I know they put some stuff on Facebook too,
Yeah.
as far as closures go.
Yep.
I have a question about that. Why the decision was switched? Originally, they weren't going to remove any trees on the south side. Then all of a sudden, they come along and cut them all down, except for the three. What prompted the decision to change everything that we were told with those public areas?
I cannot answer that question because I don't work for NDOT, unfortunately. Again, this is NDOT's project. I know
Well,
it.
Don't you have some involvement in the streetlights and
Yes. So the Redevelopment Commission partnered with NDOT because they were coming through to do the project in the first place. And so we partnered with NDOT to do the street lighting, to do the sidewalks on the south side because NDOT was going to candidly piecemeal the sidewalks on the south side and not replace all of them. And the pedestrian path on the north side. We do have a contract with their engineer, there being NDOT's. It's NDOT's engineer that did all the design. We have a small, I think it was a $17,000, roughly $17,000 contract with their engineer, and that was really just for the lighting design. But as far as those decisions, those are NDOT decisions. So unfortunately, I don't have any additional information, unless you want.
Because it really destroyed the looks of the neighborhood. And I'm never gonna see them grow back. I'm not gonna be around long enough to see it. It was kind of disappointing, because we were told several times, no trees on the south side would be removed. And then all of a sudden, they cut them down. So it doesn't lend much confidence in what you're told from public officials, that, hey, we're not gonna do this, and then all of a sudden they do it. And I would hope that, as your group has some involvement in that you could find some answers as to why they decided to do that. And like the gentleman said, what they plan on doing to replace them.
You should know that our group has just stepped forward and said we're going to help finish sidewalks across driveways and help with streetlights. And that's the extent of what we can do.
Well, I would hope
The rest
that-
of it is conversation within there.
Yeah, to kind of Fisher Price it, we're literally batting cleanup for the town. Commissioner Taylor? Heidenreich? Commissioner Perry?
Nothing additional.
I have nothing. I'm disappointed that we didn't bring up the 500,000% increase in pay, but that's all right.
I made the motion, there was no second.
I know. I'm looking at the other two down there.
I actually do have one more thing.
Well, that's kind of why I threw an arbitrary number out there. 500,000 times 0.
I was going to add to the claims. We do have one additional claim that I asked Tammy in the clerk treasurer's office to hold. It is, it's for a bond. It's for an NDOT bond for the work that was completed at State Road 67 in Merriman. Banning has gotten the information to NDOT and asked them to inspect it. Once they do that, they will release the bond. Things cross in the night. We haven't got the notice that we can stop the bond, basically, drop the bond, and we've got a bill for the bond again. So I'm trying to get an answer from NDOT on timing, as that bill is due this month. So I asked her to pull it because it's $6,000 and I don't want us to spend $6,000 if we don't need to. So the answer is somewhere in NDOT, and I'm trying to get it. So there may be one bill that's paid in between meetings this month, which we typically don't do, but I wanted you to be aware of that. So
Appreciate the information. Any other comments? Any comments from the floor? Seeing none, our next meeting date is May 6, 2021 at 6 o'clock right here. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ryan. Do I have a second? Thank you, Dana. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.